And I experienced that at various times of my political career, but I guess I could say in summary, what did I learn about political leadership, and wondering aloud to myself how that applies to other areas of endeavour. The most important things I learned, firstly, is you've got to have goals. You can't expect people to follow you and agree with you and believe in you if you don't make it very clear what you believe in. I often would hear of somebody who said, I can't stand that John Howard. I used to hear that a lot. My pulses would have these focus groups, and you'd ask people what they thought of the Prime Minister, and you get a few nice comments, and then you get a stream of invective about how hopeless he was, and that, he must be deaf, he doesn't listen, and all of those sorts of things. But the one thing that really cheered me up was one focus group where two or three people said, we can't stand John Howard, but gee, at least we know what he stands for. And I thought I'd succeeded, because you can't expect people to follow you if you don't make it clear what you believe in and what you stand for. I suppose another thing that I found that was enormously important was that if you are involved in any enterprise, the relationship you have with the people immediately around you, in the case of a Prime Minister, the people in the Cabinet, in the case of somebody who's commanding an army, his general staff, in the case of a football coach, his or her players, and so it goes on. In the case of a company, the CEO and the senior executives of that company, the relationship you have with them is absolutely critical, because it is through them that you reach out to other people. And the third thing that I think is very important, the lesson I learned, is that you've got to get the big things right. A person who assumes a leadership position or starts a new business or starts a new business enterprise saying to himself, I'm not going to make any mistakes, is doomed to failure. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes. Anybody who went any distance at all in public life, really succeeded in business, made a lot of mistakes. The important thing is, of course, to get the big things right. I often think of that giant of the 20th century, Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill made some terrible mistakes. At various stages of his political career, he took Britain back to the gold standard when it shouldn't have. He supported Edward VIII in the abdication crisis. A lot of people were critical of his role in superintending the Dardanelles campaign, which of course was of deadly importance to our own very infant country. But when it really came to things that mattered even more than those, important though they were, the rise of fascism and Nazism, the menace of Hitler, and the capacity to lead his country in desperate times, he got them right. And that's why he went down in history as being such a giant of the 20th century. And I suppose the last thing that I found that was enormously important is that there is, in every stage of your life, whether it's in politics or something else, there is a thing called instinct. Sometimes when you sit down and you list all the pros and cons of something, the list on the one side might be bigger than the list on the other side. And you might think, well, this is a stupid idea because these are all the things that can go wrong, and there's only 2 or 3 things that can go right. But if deep down you think it's still worth having a go, that's when instinct comes in. And at various stages of my life, in politics, and I'm sure at various stages of your existence in business, whether as an individual enterprise or as an industry association, you've compiled those lists. But even though you're tilting against the list, in doing so, you decide to go in the direction opposite from what the list suggests, and that is your instinct telling you that that is the right thing to do. Now, there's no fail-safe method for determining when you should follow your instinct and not. It's something that is left to you, but there's nothing in my experience abnormal, unusual, or foolish about the idea of, on some occasions, following your instinct. So, my friends, I hope you have a successful gathering. I wish great good fortune to all of your enterprises. I remain, as I hope I have conveyed to you, a great believer in the entrepreneurial ethic in Australia, the commitment to business activity and business enterprise, and an undiluted enthusiast for the economic future of our magnificent country. Thank you.